Hello there and welcome to Midday News, where we get you the biggest developing news stories at lunch hour. And our biggest focus continues to be the bilateral talks between Prime Minister Modi and his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau that are on at the moment. Well, all the details on that big story and much more coming up. Let us start with the headlines. Bilateral talks underway between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau. Talks on strengthening defence and counter-terror cooperation. Trade and investment also the focus. Global business leaders to hear Prime Minister Modi speak about how his government is preparing India for the future. Global Business Summit in Delhi to see Donald Trump Jr. talk about a new era of Indo-US cooperation later in the evening. Enforcement Directorate's action against Nirav Modi and his business partner in the PNB case for the second day today. Bank deposits and shares worth 44 crore rupees frozen. Apex Chartered Accountants body to look into the role of its members in the multi-crore fraud. And India says it sees no valid reason for the extension of emergency in the Maldives, adds it is its sincere desire to see democracy restored in the island nation. Maldives rejects UN offer for mediation to end political stalemate. Our top story this afternoon, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau are holding bilateral talks at the moment, and the meeting is aimed at strengthening defence and counter-terror cooperation besides expanding trade and investment ties. Now, apart from that, the meet is also focusing on defence, civil nuclear cooperation, climate change and education. Earlier, Justin Trudeau met External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj and discussed ways to strengthen and deepen partnership between the two countries. Trudeau and his family also visited Rajghat and paid tributes to Mahatma Gandhi. All right, my colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us on the phone line for more details. Akhilesh, now Prime Minister Modi and his Canadian counterpart Justin Trudeau are holding talks. So what are the key areas of discussion between the two sides?
Naturally, Surya, Canada is a big opportunity for India as far as the employment opportunities are concerned. You know that after USA, people of India choose to go to Canada for employment, for even business, and Indian communities are taken well there. And you know that in political dispensation also, Indians are very important. You know, the 4 ministers of Canada cabinet are from Indian origin, and also there are 19 members of parliament in Canada, so of Indian origin. So, you know, you can understand from this situation that how India is important for Canada and how Canada is important for India is that people from various walks of life visit there, and almost 1,25,000 students are studying there. So one thing that we have to consolidate on these two issues, that India and Canada should cooperate in a way that employment opportunities go, and also easy visa facilities for students, and students go there and also work there. So it is one of the best things that Canada provides to our students. So this is naturally one of the major issues that we have to strengthen in which way. Another thing, you know, that Canada has been for a long time interested in our defense sector, defense production and supply of defense equipment. So that is one of the issues that is going to be discussed. And naturally, when you meet one of the countries which is one of the most developed economy, so you discuss the question of investments and how Canadian investments can be made more fruitful. Almost 400 Canadian companies are already working here in India, and the question is how to increase their number and increase their area of coverage. So this is also an issue that Canadian will put proposals in other way. And yesterday, while Canadian Prime Minister was talking he was offering that Indians should go there, Indians should start business from there, and that will benefit both Indian and also Canadian, because he is telling that Canada has a trade agreement with so many other countries that is on easier note. So Indians can grab that opportunity. And you know, that's the third thing that India wants to discuss with the issue of terrorism. And terrorism is an issue that India has been talking to every other country how to cooperate in terrorism. And this time terrorism is coming in a different way, that the Khalistani movement had died down, but some elements in Canada are trying to again raise their voice about Khalistan there. Right. So I think Prime Minister will also going to talk about this, that how this situation can be tackled, because many of the Canadians, you know that one of them was part of the dinner reception, and then another journalist is also coming here who was raising questions about Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting there. So these are the issues that I think will be discussed in primarily with Canada, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau are talking inside this Hyderabad house. And I'm there waiting for the briefing that both Prime Ministers will be giving, I think within half an hour or so.
Right, absolutely. So Trudeau's first visit to India may have been clouded by the invite to a convicted Khalistani terrorist to the official Trudeau events, but of course, India and Canada would like to leave the controversy behind, even as the two leaders are holding bilateral talks. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those details there. And earlier today, the Canadian Prime Minister, who is on a 7-day visit to India, was given a ceremonial reception at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And Trudeau inspected the Guard of Honour and was introduced to dignitaries from the Indian side. Prime Minister Modi was also seen meeting the visiting dignitaries from Canada. There were some lighter moments as well, with the Trudeau's children also on the red carpet. And Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Thursday also responded to the controversy of the invitation to convicted Khalistani activist Jaspal Atwal to his events in Mumbai. He said that he would take action against the person responsible for sending the invite. Atwal also had attended his events in Mumbai, and Canadian MP Randeep Sarai has said that he takes a full responsibility for inviting Atwal and put out an apology.
Never should have received an invitation, and as soon as we found out, we rescinded the invitation immediately. The Member of Parliament who included this individual has and will assume full responsibility for his actions.
And Jaspal Atwal is a member of the banned International Sikh Youth Federation. He was convicted for trying to kill the then Punjab Minister Malkiat Singh Sidhu in Vancouver in 1986, and he was sentenced to 20 years in jail. Moving to control damage, the High Commissioner for Canada, Nadir Patel, cancelled the invite to Atwal for the dinner hosted for Trudeau in Delhi. External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that the government is probing how really Atwal got the visa to enter India.
On the visa part, it is something which has to be, perhaps I can't say immediately how that happened. There are different ways of people coming into India, whether you are an Indian national, whether you hold OCI cards. So we are ascertaining details from our mission. We will have to see how this happened, and then I can perhaps at a later stage I can share some details on this matter.
On to some other news now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the 4th Global Business Summit in the national capital today. The two-day Global Business Summit will showcase a star-studded roster with cabinet ministers along with the global CEOs and their Indian counterparts, reflecting the country's preeminence as a key investment destination. The theme for this year is New Economy, New Rules. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the summit in the evening today on the topic, Preparing India for the Future. Donald Trump Jr., the trustee of the Trump Organization, will also be among the star speakers. He will deliver his maiden speech in India, where he will speak on reshaping Indo-Pacific ties, the new era of cooperation, later in the evening. Now an update on the PNB fraud case. In the Enforcement Directorate today froze bank deposits and shares worth about 44 crore rupees of Nirav Modi Group today. It has also seized a huge collection of imported watches from various locations linked to the jeweler. Officials said that they have put freeze orders on bank accounts containing 30 crore rupees and also shares worth 13.86 crore rupees of the group under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act. A huge collection of imported watches, 176 steel almirahs, 158 boxes and 60 other containers have also been seized during ED searches at multiple locations linked to Nirav Modi over the last 1 week. Yesterday, the agency seized deposits, shares and luxury cars worth over 100 crore rupees of the businessman and his group. Meanwhile, the CBI and the Enforcement Directorate have registered 2 FIRs each to probe the case. Both Nirav Modi and his business partner Mehul Choksi are said to have left the country before criminal cases were lodged against them. And reports quoting sources in the Finance Ministry say that it has written to 4 Hong Kong banks that got letters of understandings from Punjab National Bank. It has also written letter to SBI, the Axis Bank, Allahabad Bank and the Bank of India and told them to reconcile accounts and check for irregularities. The report also quotes a Finance Ministry source as saying that several regulatory measures have been put in place and all the banks have been asked to reconcile LOUs that they have given. The ministry has also asked PSU banks to appoint special representative or agency to monitor status for all loans above 250 crore rupees. It has also said the consortium cannot exceed 7 banks. And the External Affairs Ministry on Thursday said that it has got a sort of acknowledgement from Nirav Modi on the show cause notice on why his passport should not be revoked. The comments by External Affairs Ministry comes a day ahead of the expiry of the 1-week time given to the accused. MEA spokesperson Ravish Kumar said that on the advice of the investigation agencies, the ministry did suspend passports of Nirav Modi and Choksi.
On the advice of our agencies, जो हमें करना था, we did suspend the passports of Nirav Modi and Mehul Choksi. They are supposed to reply within a stipulated time. If they don't reply, then we will take further action. But the location part is something where we don't directly come into the picture. We come in at a later stage once there is some progress which happens in the matter, and we are advised of the same by the agencies.
Meanwhile, the Chartered Accountants apex body, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, has also issued show cause notices to the auditors of the Punjab National Bank and Gitanjali Gems in connection with the multi-crore rupees fraud case. The body has summoned a Deputy General Manager of PNB seeking details about the fraud. The institute has also written to the RBI requesting it to provide the list of the corporate borrowers of the public sector banks having outstanding loan amount of 2,000 crore rupees and above. The ICAI has also written to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs requesting it to ask SEBI, CBI, Enforcement Directorate as well as PNB to share their findings to enable it to accelerate action against any chartered accountant who might have had any role in the fraud. Meanwhile, the Punjab National Bank has also reiterated that it has enough assets and capital to meet any liability. This comes days after media reports quoted Nirav Modi as saying that by going public, the bank had closed all options to recover money. On the delay in informing the stock exchanges about filing the FIR, PNB said that the fraud was reported as soon as the preliminary investigation report suggested that the amount involved was to the tune of 11,000 394 crore rupees. The bank has also transferred close to 1,400 of its employees since 19th of February. And in midday news, time for a very short break. We'll be back with more news. Stay tuned.
Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries.
Welcome back after the break. The Centre on Thursday announced the sale of a first batch of electoral bonds from 1st to 10th of March at designated branches of State Bank of India across the country. The electoral bond scheme was notified on 2nd of January this year. Now, as per provisions of the scheme, a person who is a citizen of India or any entity incorporated or established in India can purchase electoral bonds. The SBI has been allowed to issue and encash electoral bonds initially at its 4 authorized branches. The bonds will be sold at main branches of SBI in 4 main cities: New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata and Chennai. An electoral bond will be valid for 15 days from the date of issue. No payment would be made to any pay political party if the bond is deposited after the expiry of the validity period, and the bond deposited by any eligible political party into its account would be credited on the same day. And now let's get you all the election-related news. Well, in Meghalaya, campaigning has reached a peak with the arrival of star campaigners of several political parties. Only 3 days are now left for the electioneering for 27th of February assembly elections in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Union Ministers Rajnath Singh, Smriti Irani, KJ Alphonse, Party Chief Amit Shah have already addressed rallies for the BJP candidates. On the other hand, Congress President Rahul Gandhi, Meghalaya Chief Minister Mukul Sangma, senior leader CP Joshi, Ripun Bora have also held rallies to woo the voters for the Congress candidates. Political parties are also utilizing social media platform to reach out to the voters. Conrad Sangma of the National People's Party, UDP Chief Dr. Dongpur Roy, among others, are also campaigning to attract voters for their candidates. Meanwhile, in the state of Nagaland, one person died and another was grievously injured in poll-related violence in the Tuli Assembly constituency. The SP of the area has said that the incident took place yesterday when a group of youth pelted stones at another group travelling in a gypsy. The police have launched a manhunt to nab the culprits, and the Election Commission yesterday informed that 14 cases have been registered in connection with election-related offences ahead of the assembly elections that are scheduled for 27th of February. All right, Ravindra Singh Shuran is now joining us live from Shillong. Ravindra, speaking about Meghalaya, of course, 3 days are left for the electioneering for the assembly elections, and this, of course, this is the time when Congress is really facing a big challenge, not only from the BJP, but due to the resurgence really of a number of regional parties.
Yeah, that's right, Aishwarya. The electioneering is going to end. The BJP, they have robbed in their top leadership here. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally yesterday Rahul Gandhi, the president of the Congress party, he has also staged a roadshow in Meghalaya, and a rally also he has addressed in Tura area, that is a tribal belt of the state. Both the political parties, especially the BJP this time, is very arduous and assiduously they are trying to improve their tally and to improve their base in the northeastern hill state of this Meghalaya. This is a different kind of campaign which the state is seeing this time, and because of the BJP's strong entry in this election, the campaign, the style of the BJP is different than rest of the political parties which have been working here for many long years. The political parties, especially the Congress and the NP, confused as the electioneering of the BJP, the campaign is very it is a bit flamboyant as compared to the last elections of in Meghalaya state. This is the important thing which left all the political parties a bit confused. Also, Prime Minister, while addressing a rally yesterday, made it clear that BJP is not against any particular religion. To boast his case, he said that the BJP government in center, they have managed to escape a lot of people who are languishing in jails in different countries.
All
so
right.
BJP is not a religion.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ravindra, for all those updates there. So really, for the Congress, the fight in Meghalaya is not only to retain power in the state, but also a fight to stave off a political oblivion in the northeast. Thank you so much, Ravindra, for all those updates there. Let's get to some other news now. A court in Delhi will pass its order on the bail pleas of two Aam Aadmi Party MLAs who were arrested in connection with the alleged assault on Delhi Chief Secretary. The two MLAs are in 14 days judicial custody, and today a delegation of IS officers of the Delhi government met Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office, Jitendra Singh. Remember, Singh is also a Minister of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions. Delhi bureaucrats have sought an apology from Delhi Chief Minister and have boycotted meetings with his ministers. Also, the Delhi police was at Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal's residence today to review the CCTV visuals in connection with the alleged assault of Delhi Chief Secretary Anshu Prakash on Monday night. Meanwhile, Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has sought time from LG Anil Baijal for a meeting over the issue as well.
I don't have to elaborate on what was said by them, but it appeared that they were feeling aggrieved. They wanted to be heard, so we heard them with patience. We took cognizance of all the inputs offered by them, and we told them that we would put across all these inputs which have been furnished by them before the concerned quarters.
शिद्दत के साथ इस पूरे मामले की जांच की जा रही है। मुझे बेहद खुशी है, जांच होनी चाहिए, लेकिन मैं जांच एजेंसियों से कहना चाहता हूं कि जज लोया के कत्ल की जांच पे अमित शाह से पूछताछ करने की भी हिम्मत दिखाएं तो देश उनको बधाई देगा।
News from Jammu and Kashmir now. In a fresh ceasefire violation by the Pakistani army has been reported in Tangdar sector of North Kashmir's Kupwara district on Thursday night. As per sources, Pakistani army resorted to unprovoked firing in Tad and Jabdi area along the line of control in Tangdar sector. The Indian army gave a befitting reply. There was no loss of life or any damage to property reported from the Indian side. The residents of the villages close to the line of control in the Uri sector of Jammu and Kashmir have started moving towards safer places following a firing and shelling by the Pakistani troops in the area. Meanwhile, in a separate incident, the Indian army also destroyed a Pakistani post along the line of control in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch district. According to sources, the troops targeted the Pakistani post, which was involved in a ceasefire violation in Mendhar sector of Poonch district. And on to political crisis in Maldives, and India has said that it sees no valid reason for the Maldivian parliament to extend emergency in the island nation. The MEA, reacting to the situation, has said that it is India's sincere desire to see that democracy in the Maldives is restored and the situation resumes to normal. It also said that the manner in which the 30-day extension was approved was in contravention of the Maldivian constitution and was a matter of concern. However, Maldives government said that the statements issued by the government of India ignored the facts and ground realities with regard to the ongoing political developments in the Maldives. Meanwhile, Maldives President Abdullah Yameen has also rejected United Nations offer of any mediation. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres offered UN mediation, but it was rejected. On Tuesday, the Maldives Parliament extended the state of emergency by another 30 days, bolstering President Yameen's grip on power. There has also been international condemnation of the Maldivian government's imposition and further extension of emergency. And back home, the government will provide 45 lakh houses under its scheme to provide affordable housing for all by 2022. Urban Development Minister Hardeep Singh Puri said this while inaugurating the national seminar on emerging building materials and construction technologies on Thursday. Navikram Singh reports.
Urban Development Minister Hardeep Puri inaugurating the national seminar on emerging building materials and construction technologies. Speaking on the occasion, he said that government is working on several schemes related to housing, especially on the ambitious Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana.
If you look at the kind of traction that the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana is attracting, this will require between now and 2022 to complete those 12 million. But I am confident with the demand that we are getting that we don't need to wait till 2022.
Hardeep Puri also said that government will adopt new technologies for their housing projects to provide a further boost to the housing sector. Emphasizing on protection of environment, the minister also pushed for the use of advanced technologies for housing projects.
If you look at the environmental damage, 43 to 45% of that is caused essentially by the kind of buildings that we have. So our first task should be to bring that 45% negative damage, bring it to neutrality, and then using these technologies, make these buildings positive emitters.
The minister also released a mobile app on bamboo housing and construction during the event. An exhibition has been organized on the sidelines of the two-day seminar. Navikram Singh's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And that's it from me and my team in this edition of Midday News. Thanks for watching.